Hello everybody, this is the John Crow. Today I wanted to go over the concept of repeating quests after you've failed them. This could be useful for something like a platforming quest, a parkour quest, where at the end of the quest, if you don't make it in the right amount of time, you don't necessarily fail the quest. You might be able to redo the quest, or at least maybe even have some kind of like fail animation without actually a game over or a defeat screen popping up. And currently, when you use a timed event or a timed quest and you fail it, you can't really restart it again. There's just no way to do that without a little bit of trickery, of course. So that's what we're going to cover today. I'm not really sure how we're going to go about doing it. I haven't actually done this before. I just thought it'd be something to workshop. I'm going to hit tab right now. I've got my 4 locations. So I've got my red, my blue, my green, and my yellow for the north, west, east, and south. And let's say for this quest, we're going to set up some very simple rules. So we're going to set up a quest, and we're going to have this quest, we call it our parkour quest. It's going to be a really simple one. So let's just call it parkour. Our quest description will be, finish in time. And we'll auto unlock it, we'll auto launch it, it's not going to really matter, and we're going to set this quest on a timer, and we're just going to give it, say, 10 seconds, and the goal is not to survive, because our player is not going to necessarily die, so we'll use a message, the message needed, and the message needed will be we'll call it finish line. So the quest completes an auto completion, and then after the quest is done, we could send a message that says parkour dot finished. I might change these up a little bit later, but just kind of roughing out the actual quest itself. So if I hit tab, I get my quest launched. And obviously that takes more than 10 seconds, but if I don't finish the quest, it should not cancel, but it'll finish, but I won't actually get credit for finishing the quest. So there we go, so we get that. Now the problem is I can't start that quest again. So let's give ourselves a finish line, and I've got the fastest voxel NPC in the world in Mr. Usain Bolt, so I should be able to make a time anywhere I go. If it's going to be anyone, it's going to be him, but let's just keep this simple. I'll bring my speaker component up, and we'll put it just like over here, kind of off in the distance, and we'll have it detect our avatar at a distance of about, again, I'll use 1.5 because it's going to give me a 4-block section, sorry, a 9-block section. And I'll turn my collisions off. I'll turn well, let's actually turn this on. We'll just say win. That's the message that's going to be sent. And we're going to have that message come up every, every millisecond, so basically no delay. And the message that gets spoken is going to be finish line. And if I turn that off, and I have to get to the finish line, I can now rush to the finish line. My character gets to the end, and we finish in time there. So what if we wanted to have like a victory screen associated with this? So maybe this is like the last level, for example. So if I was to bring out, I don't think I have I do have a victory component. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm going to bring out a victory component, and I'm actually going to route the message finish line through a broadcaster to then trigger the victory. So I'm going to actually add a victory component, and the victory message is victory. And we'll make sure that we bring out a broadcaster, and we'll use the broadcaster to attach a behavior to it, and the message that's going to be sent out is going to be victory. And in order for that to be sent out, we're going to have to wait for a broadcast, and we'll wait for a message called finish line. finish dot line. We don't want it to, well, I guess only once would be useful. Although if we're building out the ability to repeat, we might want to change this. So again, we'll just kind of rough it in for now. I'm going to send it out to the very specific tag. I'm going to send it out to, I'll call it my victory tag. So let's add in copy paste that. Let's give this a tag. So this one now is going to receive the message victory and then trigger the victory screen. And that's only if we win. I'm going to have that set to no collisions. We're going to have this turned off invisible. And do I have a defeat? I don't think I do. I do have a defeat component. One day I decided to build all of these extra spare components, and I think I just went through every behavior and component and just built something for it. So I'll go with the defeat component, and on receive defeat, we get the defeat screen, and let's call this the defeat tag. So what is actually going to trigger our actual defeat is, this is where it becomes a little bit more difficult, because if we look in our rules, we don't have anything that sends a message. So our goal message needed is finish line. But if we don't reach the finish line, there's no message that gets sent. Even when we complete the message, there's a message being sent, but there's nothing really for before that, right? So like for a failure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a platform that takes the same amount of time as the timer on my quest. So you can see here we've got a 10-second timer. If I can figure out the same mechanics on a platform, this might work. So let's see, let's go and look for, I've got like an aim sites I like to use. I'll do that. And I'll give it a platform, and let's set that platform, I'm not sure how many units this is going to be, but like 10? Can't be that easy, no, of course not. Let's go with 20 units there. And we need to make this platform travel the distance from here to here in the same 10 seconds that I have to reach here as well. So if 10 seconds winds up, or if 10 seconds passes and I haven't finished the quest, I get the fail. So for this, I'm going to need to have a speaker component waiting here. So I may as well steal this one right here. Let's duplicate it and bring it over like that. And so this one, I think I need to make this a little bit closer. And I'd err on the side of probably making it a little bit longer than 10 seconds, just to give the player the benefit of the doubt, although we can kind of hone in on an exact time as we do this. So this is going to be called, this aim sites, I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call it my slider, because that's what it does, it slides along. And this speaker component is going to be my lose speaker component. And it's always looking for, not the avatar, but it's looking for the slider. And when you reach the finish line, or sorry, if you reach that endpoint, which means you would have failed the quest by not finishing in 10 seconds, we want to trigger the defeat component, or trigger the defeat message that gets sent to the defeat component that finishes the game for us. So the next thing I have to figure out is my timing here. So if we're traveling 20 blocks, 20 units, and we need to reach that in 10 seconds, this platform speed is measured in blocks per second. So if I travel at 2 blocks per second, I should get to 20 blocks in 10 seconds. And I don't really want to have any sort of wait duration. And if you edit the platform, I don't really care about looking at my destination. So what also needs to happen though is the following. So if we reach our destination in under 10 seconds, then we are victorious, which triggers the victory screen. And we would also want to make sure that we either kill the slider, the speaker component, or both. Because we don't want this slider reaching the defeat level, or we actually don't want it to reach the defeat speaker component. What I'm going to do for that, the other thing that you could do is you could just stop the slider as well too, because what if you wanted to re-trigger a brand new variation on this quest, then you'd really want to be able to reuse this, right? So so this is called slider, and I'm just going to add a toggle behavior. I'm going to set the toggle message to none, all three of these to none, and the initial state, so just for the sake of this quest, let's just have it start on, and in order to turn it off, I'm going to use that victory to turn it off. And at the same time, I may also want to reset the platform, and the way to do that would be to use a health component, and the health component would need to be killed off. So I will call it kill.slider, and I'll have it just reset. Resetting is a simple way of bringing it back to its starting point. If it was a moving asset, or there was many of these sliders, I'd probably use respawn to tag, but for now I believe I can just get away with the reset itself. So kill slider resets the slider. It's going to do it, I'll say, instantly, and I don't need to see all the details, the life bar, etc. All right, so just to test if the slider works, if I am running really fast or really slowly, and I get to the end, I should have actually colored that. I should trigger, yeah, so you can see it just stopped. Let's get out of that. It actually traveled a bit too quickly because it's mistimed from, it's about 4 or 5 seconds in order for the start of a quest from when you launch the game maker, when you actually hit play. So I'm actually just going to give this one, let's call it 25. Let's go 30. That would give us 25, which means I need to move this one to about there. All right. So if I try that again, oops, actually, let's do one more thing. I'm going to color this area right here so I know when approximately it gets there. So we're trying to get to the end of our quest. We're not quite reaching it in time. And then we get game over. We didn't make it. So that's actually perfect. That works out really well for our timing. And if I go the other way and I run, let's actually wait for the quest to launch, and I actually finish in time, I get the victory screen. And you can see this one keeps going, so I wonder what's going to happen here. I don't think it can do anything. Oh, we actually get kind of both. We get a victory and a game over. So we definitely want to do something about that. And the easiest thing to do here would be, and actually I should have killed this based on victory. Well, on victory it should have stopped. So that's interesting that it didn't actually turn off, and I bet you that's because my message broadcaster is sending victory out to the victory tag. So let's also add the victory tag to the slider as well. And because this is only working within 10 units, and my slider is back here, what if I'd run so fast that my slider was in this range here and my message broadcaster is only broadcasting out this kind of range of 10 units, then this would not get, it wouldn't receive the message. So I'm going to take my broadcaster and just expand it. Maybe I'll just go big for now, just a whole 96. I think 99 or 100 is the max. I think we talked about this in the preset video. And let's try that again. So I'm going to wait for the quest to start. There we go. And perfect. It stops. So at least we've solved that part of it now. But perhaps I don't want the victory screen. perhaps I just want to actually finish the quest itself, or perhaps I just don't want the defeat screen if I lose. So let's break this out a little bit further, and I think what we would need to do here is we need to add another quest, because we can't, once we've used this quest up, we can't reuse it again. So I would just copy and paste the existing parkour quest, and maybe you could allow your players a second shot. Call it number 2. So the description would be a second shot at redemption. And to unlock this quest, we would have to have failed the first instance of the parkour run. And you can see that the message when we finish it is parkour finished. So we're going to have to generate a not finished message. We can do that from our speaker component. So let's just call it not finished to unlock the quest. And then to actually launch the quest, we'll auto launch it for now. The quest will be another timer. It will be 10 seconds, and the goal is to complete the quest. So let's see, what was the message needed? Finish line. We're going to reuse that finish line again. So timer, 10 seconds, message needed. We'll have finish line also be the end message. And we would need to trigger that message when we went back to the start of the race, so to speak, to trigger that quest. So maybe what we need to do is for parkour 2, we can unlock the quest. It requires a message not finished. And so for the launching of the quest, we could require a message, and we could call that message back at start. Timer, we need to reach the finish line again. And as far as the quest completion goes, let's just auto-complete it. And after racing and finishing it the second time, we'll send a message called second time the charm. So I need the message back at start in order to trigger that quest a second time. So I'm going to move my platform here just back a little bit more. And let's say that our starting line is, I don't know, this kind of stone area right here. And if I grab a speaker component, in fact, I'll just borrow from this one. And call that one start again. I could turn this out into some kind of asker where maybe I don't want to start again and I accidentally trigger it. So I could be like, hey, do you really want to start again? And you'd have the option there, but we'll call this one back at start. So we detect the avatar again, no delay, and we're back at start. And at this point, you probably only want this one to generate, well, no, we'll leave this off for now, because I'm probably going to be running back and forth over top of it, as I'm playing. And I do want to have the message being sent when I walk over top of it. I just don't want to have it enact the quest unless I've failed the first quest. So I don't think this one, okay, so I'm going to fail the quest here. So I get the game over. So let's get rid of the defeat on this. And what was the unlock again? Parkour tour 2, it was not finished. So in this case here, we're not going to use the defeat. We're going to use not.finished. And at the same time, I'm going to send an asker. So let me just pull up an asker. This computer's having a hard time clicking on things. I'm having to click things a bunch of times. I'm going to use an asker, and so let's call this the announcer. The announcer is our speaker, and it's going to say something like, well, you lost, try again. If so, go back to the start and give it the old college try, whatever that means. Okay. I don't need the health component there, and I don't need to have any of the messages being sent on A1, A2, A3, or A4. And we'll call this one second.try. The message required here is also going to be not.finished. So two things are happening when we hit this not finished. So if our slider, which is back here, if it trundles all the way over to here and it enters this zone and it triggers not finished, it's going to send it out to here, and it's also going to send it into my rules into that second quest and unlock it. So there's two things going on. I think I duplicated this twice. And let's say I also wanted to, just say I give up. Mercy. So you'd have the option here to then have the player opt out. Maybe this is the last quest where you could then trigger the defeat message, the defeat component. So let's see how we do here. So we're running, and we put this into walk mode. There we go. He's walking just to give this a chance. And let's say he doesn't quite get there. So we trigger and ask her, well, you lost. And I should probably stop this as well too. So that's another thing that we could do. Want to try again? If so, go back to the start and give it the old college try. So I hit OK, which will unlock the quest. And if I go back to the very beginning here, come back to the start of the race, we should then have our second try at that parkour. And if I then reach the end of that race, I then get my victory and it stops. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Let's see, what else can we do here? What was my kill message? So in order to reset this, the kill message I had was to say kill slider. So we need this instant death message, kill slider, when we actually get back to the start of the race. Now the problem again is that when I hit the tab key, because it takes about that 4 seconds to unlock the quest, this actually should be right. I guess whether I'm tabbing into the game or starting a quest, it's still the same 4.25 seconds, I think. I think Cyber Dragon was saying something about 4.25 seconds a while ago, so perhaps, yeah, I could check into that a little bit more, but let's use this back at start. So we're back at the start again. And we don't really want, so we're going to use a message broadcaster here. Let's bring this message broadcaster over like so. And we want to actually relay the message kill slider. And in this case here, we want to send it not to the victory tag, just to the slider itself. And the message that's required would be back at start. Now the problem is, if I hit tab right now and I go back to the start, it's going to kill my message and it's going to keep killing it over and over and over and over and over again. That's not cool. When we do go back to this message, kill slider, we want to only trigger the message broadcaster when we have failed a mission, like when we've failed one of these. So if we ever get to the point where we've failed our parkour, we want the not finished message to trigger the ability for the character going back to the start, triggering the message back at start, which would then relay to the message broadcaster, which would then kill this to start over again. So for that, that's my phone going off here. I'm just going to add a toggle behavior, and we're going to have the turn on message for the toggle behavior set to not.finished. So the only way that that speaker component can actually get its message relayed to kill the slider will be if I have not finished the message, not finished the parkour. All right, I think that would probably do it there, if my logic is all set. Now the other thing that we need to make sure of is that when we kill that health component, I don't want to kill it right away. Or maybe what I actually only want to do is I only want to send the message once. So let's actually broadcast that message only once. And it won't broadcast until the gate that triggers the behavior turns on. And then the other thing I want to do is when this slider reaches the end and moves all the way back again, I want to make sure that it's turned off. So it says off message is victory right now, but I could also relay that through to something else. So maybe that off message could be triggered at victory. It could also be triggered at not finished. So in this case, and this would only be spoken once, my asker. So in this case here, let's have our victory message. So this is finish line, which triggers the message broadcaster, which triggers victory. I'm going to have the finish line relay to the message broadcaster. I'm actually going to duplicate that. Let's turn the victory tag off. Let's send this to the slider. And what was my message I'm going to send? The message I'm going to send is just off. And I also want to use that same one when it receives the message not finished. So when we put that all together now, let's think about what's happening. Our character gets here. We've lost. The message spits out a message that says not finished. Our message broadcaster picks up that message, not finished, and it sends it to the slider to turn the slider off to stop it from moving. That seems fair. At the same time, our asker lets us know that we've lost because we received the message not finished, and we have the option to give it a second try or to go to our defeat screen. If we win, we can trigger the victory screen, and we also want to trigger the slider turning off as well. And we can actually take that victory, and we don't need it to be sent to the slider anymore because the slider no longer requires the victory message. And its initial behavior is on, so when we reset it, it'll start on again. I think that should probably take care of all of our scenarios. I'm going to set this to 0 for now. All right, let's take a look. We start our quest. Let's look at the victory first. We win. Victory. The slider stopped. It kept moving here, and then we get that. So that's not very cool. So what happened when we hit victory? Maybe we need to delay victory from happening. So victory should go to the victory tag, which is over here, but we should also be sending the off message to the slider. Message to send off. Message required before broadcast. And it's called slider. Oh, the turn off message. Just want it to be set to off. There we go. All right, let's try that again. Our parkour objective is unlocked. We're going to run it. We're going to finish it. I'm just going to look right here. Perfect. So we have no ability for any more of our components here or here to be involved in overriding our wondrous victory. If we fail, and if I walk, I am going to fail this one. Oh, that's going to be close. No, Hussein still wins out. We're going to stop. Our parkour message clears. Do we want to try again? So we could give up. Get our game over screen. Nothing happens here. And let's test our last scenario now. So we fail. Let's this time give it the old college try. So that waits there. The slider waits exactly at the end. That might mess us up. Let's start over again. Ah, look at that. Our new objective is unlocked. And here, our timing now looks like it's working perfectly again. 3, 2, 1. And in this case, we get victory. So that's very cool. A simple way of being able to give your player the ability to retake a parkour or timed quest again. And I think what would be useful here would be to, yeah, exactly, ignore unstarted quests, because we don't want to get penalized for quests that we don't really need to do. So even though we have 2 quests here, we might not ever need to use this quest. It's kind of a backup, and we could have a 3rd, 4th, and a 5th if we wanted to give our user 4, 5, or 6 chances at this, if we wanted to put them into an actual quest. I've seen in the alpha seasons variations on the parkour where you could just restart over and over again, and they weren't really considered quests, they were just like challenges within the game. So either way, you have a couple of options. In any event, I hope you learned something from this video. My name is the John Crow. I'll talk to you later.